Memories of my dad during the war, Bruce Margetts. I was about 5 when the war ended. I was one of a family of 5 boys and 1 girl living at number 1 Kings Road. My dad worked at Westlands as an aircraft fitter and then in the experimental department, and my mum did gloving. Our back garden backed onto the Women's Land Army hostel. There were wooden gates at the entrance, 2 sheds and a boiler house. The land girls wore breeches and large leather Australian type hats. They would go about in a 2-wheel putt and a horse. They used to take the shortcut by Tumwell to Castle Farm, where the big dairy was. I remember watching the men milking there by hand on 3-legged stools. There were lots of small farms in Stoke at that time, and everything was done by horse. I used to watch the man bringing the horses, 6 or 7 of them sometimes, back to their field after their day's work. He would take their head collars off and they would run off kicking and bucking and rolling. There were also big tractors from Yandles and Margetts, though, which used to whir their way up through the village on their way to collect big elm trees, which would be used to make the coffin boards. We were on double time then. The country had to become self-sufficient because we couldn't import food. People would work until 10 at night. My parents had a massive garden, which was all dug over for vegetables. If you had a big crop of anything, you would share with the people who didn't. I remember my dad used to grow huge marrows. We would carve our names into the marrow when it was little and watch the letters get bigger as the marrow grew. We kept chinchilla rabbits and big Belgian hares for food, as well as chickens. My mother had a big rooster, which bit her on the leg once as she was hanging out the washing. She hit it with the clothes prop, but it just ran off. My mother wasn't going to put up with that. She had the butcher come in to kill it, and we ate it. Some food, like beef and butter, you could only buy with coupons, but we did all right with what we could grow, as well as finding eggs from the farmers' chickens, which ran wild all over the farms. We boys would mark the addled eggs and come back the next day for the fresh ones. We found moorhen eggs by the river down by the A303. We would take 2 or 3 and the moorhens would then lay some more. They were about the size of a bantam's egg. We also did well for apples, pears and plums, as there were plenty of orchards about. Mr. Tucker would sometimes see us and shout, "You boys, I know you're down there." Dad's brother was fighting abroad and once posted a coconut back to us just as it was, with our name and address on it. It was painted on and it arrived safely. We had never tasted oranges or bananas until the end of the war, or until the war was over, and then we had to be told what we needed to do, and also that they needed peeling. The oranges would come in big boxes. I remember seeing the Yanks coming through the village on their lorries and chucking sweets to us children. After the war, I remember sweets and chocolate became more available. I seem to remember you could get sweet chocolate powder from Stanchester School. The sewage ground was where Jubilee Woods is now. There was always someone there tending it, and if you wanted a tomato plant, that was where you had to go, as the seeds go right through people without being digested, and the plants grew all around the sewage ground. All the children had a gas mask and a little pack on their back, and were supposed to have them with them at all times. Babies were put in a kind of a leather cradle, which folded down, and adults had a large gas mask with a tube and a flask. They all had charcoal filters. I remember watching our planes fly over in formation on night raids. They would come back in the morning, but not in formation. My parents would say, not so many coming back. Sometimes one would fly over later in the day, making a droning noise. It had been hit and was trying to make its way back home. An enemy bomb landed on Stanchester School, causing damage and hitting the gymnasium floor, but it didn't explode. There were evacuees at Castle School and they settled in right away. We didn't have any room in our house for any evacuees, but Nanny Wills had relatives in London who used to come and stay from time to time to escape the bombing and get a good night's sleep. They used to sleep in the stone outhouse on mattresses. I don't remember ever feeling frightened during the war. We children just accepted it as ordinary everyday life. In summer we would run about all day playing hares and hounds. No one ever asked where we were.